But Johnny, let's move on into the actual first topic of the show. And what we are looking at is still in the DC universe. DC has found its savior, Johnny. It has found the Holy Grail, and that is James Gunn. James Gunn, first off, this is me speaking, not an article, not anything. DC did the right decision because what did I say about a month ago?
You wanted them to hire him.
Should hire him now. Like, make it now. And they have. They capitalize. They are going to capitalize off of a mistake by Disney, and this is one where they can turn the tables and actually make a good Suicide Squad movie. Because I have been on the record of saying I am not a fan of Suicide Squad and was not a fan when we saw it way back when it came out. But James Gunn is going to write Suicide Squad 2. He's being eyed to direct it too, which is interesting. We'll get into that. But what we're going to talk about is what we think about James Gunn and his whole Suicide Squad 2 thing. Then we're going to move into what it virtually means or actually means for DC and Marvel moving forward, because Marvel's getting dragged into this because they let them go. But the first thing I want to mention about it is that this Suicide Squad 2, that Warner Brothers has said that it's in here, since DC referred to Gunn's movie as Suicide Squad 2, it's clear that he's still developing the sequel to Ayer's first movie. So Fresh Take could be referring to two things. One, that James Gunn is doing a full rewrite of the movie's story and script. And two, that he's potentially taking the characters in an entirely different direction than how they were depicted in the original film, which may not be a bad thing if WB wants to continue to distance themselves from earlier installments of the DCEU. And earlier in the article, it also says that they're going back to square one with James Gunn. However, that could also mean just what I said, them just taking the characters in a new direction. But also, will he also direct it? Will they push out Ayers? Ayers has voiced his support for James Gunn, so maybe they can do a thing where they work together with it. But here's what I want to ask you. What do you think when I say the words James Gunn is writing Suicide Squad 2?
It should be a lot better. It can bring both a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe to it, but also a super vibe to it. Because I feel like that's what you kind of...
Super vibe.
Well, I feel like that's sort of what you need for...
Because they want to be edgy.
For Suicide Squad. You're taking a bunch of villains, making them heroes. Not that that's what Super was, but that was kind of a fucked up movie.
It was a very
You and I
fucked up
watched
movie.
it together for the first time for me. It was the first time for you too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We just saw it on Netflix and we're like, hey, let's watch it. It's got Ryan Johnson. He plays Dwight, right?
It's a superhero movie.
You know what? It's got who was it? What was her name?
All the time.
No, she was in Juno. Ellen Page, not Ellen Page.
Was it not? It's not.
Is it Ellen Page?
So we got it up right now for you.
The chick from Juno. That's basically what I refer to her as. Is it Ellen? Yeah, Ellen Page. Yeah. I was right. Ellen Page. So it had Ellen Page and Ryan Johnson. I'm like, it has Kevin Bacon in it. This should be hell? What the hell am I watching?
No cutting and lying.
Am I watching? That's not even the worst part. I don't even want to say what the worst part was.
I'm not going to. I'm just gonna. That one was.
Oh man, that was just.
Woo. You're in trouble now. We saw you changing in the car.
Exactly. But going on is I'm excited for this. Like DC, to me, this was the right move to make because James Gunn, like Suicide Squad, even after watching the first one, you could tell that DC only put this into production because Marvel had Guardians.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was like someone walked into a room and said, hey, you know that Guardians movie? Let's do that. Well, don't you want... No. We have the soundtrack here. Put the movie to the soundtrack.
This is the thing I say every time we bring up the soundtrack. Some guy forgot he was given the job to do that. And on the way to the radio station, was on his iPod Shuffle, clicking through songs.
On the way to the studio.
Literally on Shuffle, all his songs. He's like, okay, I'll put that one in there, and that one in there, and that one in there, and that one. And then he like collaborated like 20 songs for himself. And like, here, this is my list of songs. Well, shit, we got nothing else we can do right now. Let's just do it.
And that's it. To me, it was like you're really trying to, hey, Guardians was good. We're going to do it exactly like them and not even. Well, they tried to put their own spin on it, but to me, my biggest thing is they just tried to sell me a soundtrack to that movie. I'm excited for this script. I'm excited for this story now. I'm excited for these characters now because of what I've seen James Gunn do with Guardians of the Galaxy. The thing I'm also excited for, and this kind of brings in the DC side of it, I'm excited now for the direction that DC is now going in. It seems like ever since, like, a little bit before the Henry Cavill stuff, they were like, okay, we're going to distance ourselves from Justice League. We're going to tell individual stories, and that's what we're going to do. Like Wonder Woman, individual story. We're not going to try to link it together. Like, yeah, it's in the universe, but we're not building up to, like, this leads into this, leads into this,
They're not pulling
leads
a
into
Marvel.
Avengers. Yeah. Marvel did it. Marvel was great. Like Chris Evans said in a panel in a recent Comic-Con that what we're seeing with Marvel, it's going to end with Infinity War Part 2, whatever it's going to be called. However that ends, we're never going to see something like that again.
No.
Like a 10-year, 22 movie kind of a storytelling thing. And I kind of like how now DC's like, hey, we're just going to tell, like, Shazam looks really good. Aquaman looks good. Wonder Woman was good. Now that they've kind of cut themselves off from, not that Henry Cavill was bringing them down, but I think Ben Affleck was a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they're not connected. They're not bringing themselves to, okay, everything has to be connected. It's like, guys, it's the same universe.
Yeah.
If we want to make a movie that pulls them all together, we'll do it again.
Plus, here's a thing that I didn't really think about. So my old boss, his name's Pete.
Okay.
And he is a huge DC guy. Like DC to the 9s. Maybe to the 10s. And what he was saying, and it was an interesting point, that the whole individual story thing works better for DC because if you look at DC and their like animated universe and their animated stuff, even in their comics, they've all been about multiverses. They've all been about like the New 52 where it was like, hey, we're going off to this universe, the 52 or like Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3 kind of a thing where, hey, we're telling this story. We don't have to relate this Batman movie to Wonder Woman because this could just be Earth 3 where Wonder Woman was Earth 2. It could just be two different versions of that character. But hey, maybe we want to tell a Justice League story. We just put them together. You know who the Justice League is. We don't have to ramp up into that. We could just have a Justice League movie without having 5 movies to lead up into it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Very true. Where Marvel, I get it because Marvel had to. Well, I mean, Marvel had to set up all their characters too from the beginning.
And at the time, Marvel was not as known as DC. Like
No,
DC
you're right.
was. If you were a casual superhero fan in 2008, you were most likely you knew Batman, Superman. It's like, tell me about Iron Man. He wears a suit.
I mean, you maybe probably knew the X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
because
they were probably the only two. Because of our childhood, they were the most popular.
We had I mean, yeah, we had a Hulk cartoon. We had a Iron Man cartoon. You didn't watch them because you really didn't know them.
Either. Like you mentioned, yeah, we had a 90s Iron Man cartoon. I don't remember watching it.
Iron Man.
Don't remember watching it at all.
Maybe once or twice, but like that's why like I vaguely remember it. But it's like I don't really know that much about Iron Man.
But like
not before the movie came out.
But on the other side, you had Spider-Man's the one with Marvel. Spider-Man and X-Men are the two, but I would say Spider-Man a little bit above, maybe neck and neck. I'm wrong.
Yeah,
maybe neck and neck. Because you had all the movies. But like with DC, you had Batman the Animated Series. You had Batman Beyond. You had Superman the Animated Series. You had the Justice League cartoons. You had all the animated movies that they then did. You had Smallville. You had Lois and Clark. You had like there was. I know that it was Ricky. These characters were more popular. Of course, they're going to do. But they had more of a running start.
Exactly.
Whereas Marvel kind of had to, hey, we got to build from the bottom. When Iron Man came out, they didn't even know that this was going to be a thing. They didn't even know whether or not it was going to hit or not. And look at what it has developed into.
Exactly.
So
they started from the bottom. Now they're here. Ha!
And that's why I like telling good individual stories But the thing I also want to bring up into this is with this James Gunn situation, what is this going to mean for now even Marvel? Because think about this. Suicide Squad, we're all on the uptick now, especially me, a DC fanboy. I'm on the uptick with it. You have articles like I'm looking at the one headline right now. James Gunn at DC proves Disney made a big mistake. You now have Guardians 3, which is kind of in limbo, where they said they were going to rewrite it. Then you've got James Gunn's brother saying that no, they're probably going to use James Gunn's script, which is in a sticky situation because it's like, oh, then we got to put his name on the movie, and do we really want to do that? Then you also have two other ones that the first one is kind of where Michael Rosenbaum, which he was a smaller role in Guardians 2, so not really a huge one. He wants to join James Gunn in the Suicide Squad sequel. But to me, the big mic drop is that Dave Bautista wants to star in Suicide Squad 2, which DC, you would be idiotic to not get him. You would be so idiotic to get him in this movie because he's a big time star. Like he's not like a Chris Evans level, but he's a big name that can run with the Margot Robbies and the Will Smiths on screen.
Yeah.
And the first thing I saw was some characters that, well, of course, some characters that James Gunn wants to bring into this, but the perfect one for Batista is Bane.
I think so too.
You could give a comic book, like real comic book Bane look. Not the Tom Hardy one that we saw.
You don't want that mask?
I don't want that mask. If you're going to give him a mask, give him a luchador mask. Or you can give him one, like, there are iterations of Bane that don't have the mask. You can give that. But, like...
True.
I would love to see, like, even Batista would be a great, like, because he's got the charisma, a little bit of the charisma as well, to where I could see his Bane being not just luchador Bane, but like the Bane that I remember where it's like, oh, he's not in his luchador suit. He's in a suit and tie. And he is kind of like corporate Bane as well. Kind of like that mob boss kind of a Bane.
Going the back and forth of like, you also got to be smart. You can't just be straight up brawn. It
would be so good. And I don't know who Michael Rosenbaum would be, but what do you think this means for Marvel moving forward? Is it not a death sentence, but how bad is it for Marvel? Because obviously this isn't a good thing.
It's a blow. I mean, now you have to wonder what steps they're gonna take next. Because I think part of their pivoting point was supposed to be initially Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Not that the Russo brothers don't probably have a plan B, C, D through Z, but because we know they're planned out like 20 years in advance. And I know I'm exaggerating, but they're planned out pretty far in advance of like, oh, I want this movie, then this movie, and then this movie, and then this movie. But I mean, it's kind of a blow because they lost a really good director, a really good writer over stuff that you and I have discussed in a previous podcast, which we both agreed kind of stupid.
The bottom line is, I'm not debating what he said. I am debating that it was said before you hired him for the first one. And if it wasn't a problem the first time, why is it automatically a problem now?
Exactly. I completely agree. And so, I mean, that's a blow to Marvel. And now they have to also debate if they're going to rewrite the script. Are they going to keep it? Which, just keep it. You know it's good. You know it's gold. He wrote it.
Pretty much, yeah. Right?
And just bite the bullet and put his name on it. People are still going to go see it. I think the backlash you're going to get is going to be less than the amount of money you're going to make off of it. So, okay, guess what? Screw those people.
Well, and the other thing, too, that's interesting is we're already seeing the pivot by Marvel and the MCU. Because, let's see, I'm going to pull up really quick MCU future movies. Because let's see. Is this one going to tell me all the ones I want to see, or is it going to... So, yeah, we get Captain Marvel, which we already know is coming out. We have Avengers, which we already know is coming out.
Yes.
Spider-Man, we already know we're getting that July of 2019. The ones that are in development, we've got Black Panther 2, because Ryan Coogler has just been set on to write and direct Black Panther 2.
Coogler.
Yeah, Coogler. We don't know what they're going to do with it. We don't even know when that one's going to come out.
I wonder who the villain's going to be, too. That's interesting.
I mean, that one you can kind of go with. There's a few options they could go with. Some people thought they were going to do, kind of see if they can get Kraven the Hunter from Sony to do that, but we're going to talk about Kraven later on.
They sort of made what the villain was supposed to be, White Ape. They sort of made it him his friend. So
yeah, which I read an article where they were like, please don't let him turn on Black Panther.
I mean,
like, that would make that happen.
It would make an interesting dynamic, though. But then again, he doesn't really have like the power to do that, because we already know he's a better fighter. He would have to have gotten that plant, which are all gone thanks to Killmonger. So
thanks to Killmonger.
So
I love
that'd be interesting.
I love opening something and you're like, oh, it'll be an article, and then it ends up being a video and not an article. So it's like I can't watch that. I'm gonna quickly list off from comicbook.com. They have eight villains that could be in the sequel. Baron Zemo is one of them. King Cadaver is another. Apache, don't know who Apache is. White Wolf, which we've kind of already talked about. Namor, I don't even know if they could bring
He's
Namor
an enemy?
because, well, they could use him as an enemy.
I guess that'd be weird.
I mean, if they're going to introduce
Namor?
like, because it says over the past 10
mean
years,
Namor, right?
Yeah, Namor.
Okay.
Black Panther and Namor have developed one of the most engaging rivalries in all of superhero comics. They have come into conflict both as kings and teammates, working to serve their own countries and the needs of the Illuminati. The results have been destructive on personal and global levels. Attack on Wakanda and Atlantis. This is all naming rights thing, or the rights to Namor, because that's the whole reason why we don't have Namor in it, is because of rights. Man-Ape, we could also get him.
Man-Ape, that's who I meant.
We could also get Claw.
Claw's dead.
But we already have him, and then Killmonger, we already
as dead.
Have Claw as being dead.
Deceased. Unless, I mean, let's be fair. Unless something with the Infinity War Part 4 is what I'll call it until we get an actual name. Unless that switches things around and some people become undead somehow. Aside from the, how do you would...
The Snapshot.
Snapshot, thank you.
That
so I mean, unless like I said, things that like people that died pre-Snapshot.
So we have that one's May 1st, 2020. I don't even know if that's going to be Black Panther now, because now they just set Coogler. He's got to write it, then they got to film it. The next, like, here's the next ones they have. July 31st, 2020 is locked up. This article has the Eternals down there. Could be an Eternals movie. I haven't heard anything, though, about writing or directing that. Captain Marvel 2. That could be another one looking forward. Black Widow. We know that one's going to happen.
Yeah.
That one will probably be 2021.
Budapest.
And then of the... Budapest. Of the recent article, because of Guardians being kind of put on the back burner... Doctor Strange 2 could be filming. Benedict Wong has come out and said that filming could start this year.
Nice.
For Doctor Strange 2.
That'd
so
be cool.
It kind of looks like, we have our dates and set, but because Guardians got pushed back, they're kind of green-lighting Doctor Strange 2 sooner than they would have liked to.
I mean, I guess if you have to, go for it. I mean, that's going to be cool then, see what... if they're going to use Mordo as the villain, or if they're going to have another villain and keep Mordo on the back burner so they can have another one.
I like the Mordo villain, though.
Yeah, no, because you saw as he went to the villain side at the end of it.
Yeah.
Taking other wizards' magic, or
basically
sorcerers.
saying, hey, you can't... Not even was that guy a sorcerer, technically?
Technically was, but wasn't. He was using magic to heal his own body.
Instead of... the greater good.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he's like, you're using magic in the wrong way. I'm taking it away from you.
Exactly.
And then we saw him all handicapped on the floor again, floor because he lost everything. Any final thoughts before we move on into some more Disney?
It'll be interesting what they do and who follows him over.
I'll ask you this. give me a percentage in your head
Mm-hmm.
that when Suicide Squad 2 comes out, or that the trailer comes out, or just in general, give me a percentage that Batista is in the movie.
I'm gonna go like 50 right now, just because you gotta know what happens with contracts, and if he's willing to break the contracts. Because from what I've heard, there are fines if you break a contract, and I can imagine Disney's being high.
I would like to say 50, but I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say 65%.
Okay.
And the reason why is breaking contracts is true, but I believe that Batista would be like, screw it, find me, I don't give a shit. With everything that he said anyways, like, I think he'd be the one to say, whatever, I'll break it.
Well, the reason I say 50 is because, like, he could wait out the contract, and by the time, because they still got to write the script,
Or
they got
rewrite the
They
script.
got to rewrite. Well, I'm not saying Guardians. I'm saying for Suicide Squad, they have to write the script. They have to get everything else together, and then they can start production. He may have gotten his movie contract done and over with by then, and said, okay, that's fine.
I think they're eyeing let's see, did we put a date that they're eyeing for Suicide Squad 2? No. But, like, we know the release date's coming up. We know that 19 is going to be locked down with Shazam, Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and then Wonder Woman 2. And then we already know Birds of Prey is going to be the early movie for 2020. So this is one where the linchpin with Dave Bautista is going to be Guardians 3.
Yeah.
Because if his contract ends after Avengers 4, that's cool, but I believe Guardians 3 was also on there. But also there could be a huge debate of like, hey, I thought that this movie would be filming already when I signed this contract.
Exactly.
I wasn't expecting
there may be an
this
argument,
to wait.
There could be an argument made there in which he could go over and do that movie until Marvel decides, okay, we're going to start filming again. Not saying he'll interrupt his other movie, but...
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is he'll do Avengers 4. We will have a break before Guardians 3, and they will either rewrite Drax or write an off-screen death for him. Because I think that if Batista wants to be in this movie, A, DC would be idiotic to not hire him.
Yeah.
2, James Gunn is going to back him. We are going to see Dave Bautista in Suicide Squad 2, in my humble opinion, because he would just bring in... He's not going to be like that Will Smith. He's not going to be like that Chris Evans, that Robert Downey Jr., but he will help bring in some tickets because some people will go, oh, Dave Bautista's in this? Okay, this movie might actually be good.
Whether it be through Marvel or through wrestling, some people will go see it.
Through Marvel or wrestling.
I said wrestling.
I know.
Wrestling.
You're the one that thought of that before I did.
Yeah, I said wrestling.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section. Let us know what you think of Suicide Squad 2 now with James Gunn. What does it mean for DC? What does it mean for Marvel? Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.